Everyone see everything okay? I did some updating on TTS, so... Yep, I will have to add 3 more, Panda. You're absolutely right. But for now, I thought I'd switch over and just go ahead and do these ones because I haven't played the other ones yet. So right now, if for those of you that don't know, I mainly stream Disney Villainous. Um, this is a 2 to 6 player game where you take. You'll have to see, Court. You'll have to see. You take the main villains from any of the fantastic original movies from Disney, and you pretty much make a game out of it. So, if you want to actually see how to play, that is on the YouTube channel, which if you go !YouTube, it should pop up the link to the YouTube channel. Hopefully it works, hopefully it doesn't. I don't know. If it doesn't, let me know. But we're going to re-rank them. Before I had Gothel on the bottom, and I believe we had Yzma on the top. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Yzma was on the top. Yeah, it works. There's the link. Thank you, Court. I believe Yzma was on the top, and Mother Gothel was on the bottom. It's kind of changed. Kind of changed a little. So, for those that have watched the previous video, this one is going to be pretty much the same. I'm going to start from my least favorite and go up to my favorite. And this one's in a little more of a tweak. I do play a lot of competitive Disney Villainous, so this will be more of who I think is good in the competitive field versus, not the competitive field, if that makes sense. Just playing with friends. So if we're going on the competitive base, my least favorite, the competitiveness for my least favorite, and personally my least favorite, yes, Gaston is become my least favorite. I think that people are just way too hectic to fate him over and over and over. Poor Ed. Ed Robin knows what I mean. Every time he plays Gaston, everyone fates you constantly to pull out Belle, replace obstacles, and I just think he's just way too hectic. First of all, let's take a look at his villain deck. So you got wolves, which I think wolves are nice. They gain a strength for each other wolf in play. So I think at most you can get a 4 strength wolf. You've got his effects. The only thing that I think is a pointless in his deck, and I think everyone will agree with me, are the 4 dozen eggs. I'm sorry, I'm not paying 4 power to put an item on an ally that only gives them 2 strength. I'm sorry, it's just not happening. I think the artistic point is very nice. I think the idea is very nice. However, I think 4 power is literally ridiculous to go and only get 2 things, if that makes sense. You wouldn't go to the store and pay this much for 2 eggs. $4 for 2 eggs, I just think it's crazy. So if you look at his objective, remove all 8 obstacles. Look at his board, guys. You can't gain 3 power unless you want to put back an obstacle with Swoon, and you have 3 copies of Swoon. I don't usually play Swoon. I know other people play Swoon. I don't play Swoon because if I have to replace an obstacle, what's the point of me getting to 8 minus removing my obstacle? Excuse me. I mean, I would rather use a mob and a wolf. If there's 2 wolves on the board, I'd rather use the mob and the wolves to get rid of the beast. His fate deck. Oh, his poor fate deck. It is brutal. I think almost everything in here replace obstacles. Let's see. Replace an obstacle. replace an obstacle at each location. Find Belle again here. Oh, look. First of all, I wish Belle was more powerful. If she's going to be the thing that stops you from getting obstacles or removing obstacles, I'm just saying. She needs to be more than 2 strength. But I think the artwork is good. I think the logistics is good. I just wish that there was a better way to gain power other than replacing obstacles. Yes, it's a good idea if you're playing Swoon to get that extra 3 power to just go ahead and play Get Out. So then you can get, if you had 2 power or 3 power, you could play Swoon, replace an obstacle, play Get Out, and pretty much win. I like that he only has 1 condition card. I don't know if there would be any other way. He has 3 copies of Beautiful as Me. Or Bam. I just think no strong Belle. I just saying. Or if you were gonna make it to where she doesn't remove obstacles, if Beast is in play, Belle gets like +2 strength or +1 strength, just something. Because I'm just saying. I mean, yeah, you have Cogsworth who can make her 3 strength, but who really puts Cogsworth and Belle together? I mean, I didn't, and I lost many games by not doing that, but I just feel like personally he's on the bottom when you're playing 1v1 because people can really progress and fate you into oblivion to where you're at the point where you can't get the obstacles removed. I think that the cards make sense other than 5 dozen eggs. But I think he's just too hungry for power, and not having a gain 3 slot is just not okay. I just wish there was a gain 3 spot, but that's just me. So that is that one. That's number 18. I gotta remember to unlock things before I delete. 18. And then number 17 is Quo. Here we go. Number 17 is Quo, both 1v1 and personally, because yes, if you are a beginning player, I highly recommend Queen of Hearts or Prince John or someone from the basic first green box. However, if you're playing competitively, I just think Queen of Hearts needs some love. Personally, I think her cards are good. They all make sense. They pointy sticks. They just make sense to me. And it's not that I don't enjoy playing Queen of Hearts. It's the fact that most people who play her do not vanquish Alice. So Alice just squats right here, and then people start piling up all your card guards in the little corner over here. So then by the time you're able to even think about vanquishing Alice, you've got all the card guards, all 8 of them, stacked in this little corner, and then you're just screwed. Just screwed. And let's not even think about the fact that if you have March Hare plopped and the Mad Hatter, you can't even like off with your head them, because it's for 4 strength or less, and when they're out together, they're 5 strength. Like, competitively, it just doesn't make sense. Because she's another fate spammer. Oh yeah, let's not even, thank you, Court. Let's just not even think about the Cheshire Cat. Like, let's just plop him in here, and then all your beautiful 8 Wickeds, you know, you have 2 of them now that are just regular card cards, but you can't move them because of Alice. So, Queen of Hearts has to have a wicket at each location and successfully take the shot. Yes, you have. Uh, you have to have a wicket at each location and successfully take the shot, which means that you take the card guards, you get to an activate spot, you pay 1 power. Oh, but if White Rabbit's out, here's another 2 power to activate, and then you have to play take the shot, and your strength has to be greater than the total cost of the card. So, competitively, I can recommend definitely not going Queen of Hearts competitively, and if you do, vanquish Alice as soon as you can. Or you're just gonna have all 8 of your card cards sitting over here. Um, the Tweedles, I know that they're only 2 strength, but you have to pay 3 power to play a 2 strength ally. However, I think it's worth it at this point because they don't get discarded. They can just like sit and guard your top bait spot. Hi, We8. How are you? It does depend on the matchup. I highly agree. However, competitively, I think personally that she just needs some love and attention. You can gain a lot of power with her very quickly, especially if the king out and Very Merry Birthday. If you have all your allies out, you can get very powerful very fast. Yes, locking that fate spot is important. That's when I think makes you smaller is very useful because then you can shrink. But if the Dormouse is here, I guess you're just kind of screwed because they can't be shrunk. I think her mechanics is really fun. The fact you can like enlarge heroes to cover things up, shrink heroes to reveal things. It really plays into effect of the movie itself. I am shocked I have this many people on right now. But personally, I think competitively, she just isn't good. Especially if you're playing against Cortosis and We8 with Queen of Hearts. I hope you enjoy seeing all your Fate deck out on the board because that's what's gonna happen. So she's sitting at number 17. Again, this is all opinion based. It's not really, I have to go by what Dixie says. This is just my personal opinion. I didn't even finish the Twisted Tail book We8. I haven't even finished it. I haven't even, I don't even know where it's at. It's probably in a box somewhere. I have to buy a new one. Looking at number 16, I think number 16 definitely has to go to Lady Tremaine. And again, this is 1v1. Yes, her fading mechanics is amazing. However, if you're against the right opponent, they're going to make sure they can fate you as well. And when you get all of your fate deck out, it's very hard to keep up with fading them back as well as progressing in your goal. Excuse me. If I cough, I apologize. I think personally, I really, really enjoy playing her. However, she's down as low as she is because, yeah, they were. She's down lower because I think people have really gotten to understand that you have to fade her as much as you do. One thing I always recommend with her is holding on to vicious practical jokes until you're almost to win con, because I think dealing with Fairy Godmother and the Glass Slippers isn't that bad. Because you can get rid of these people very quickly. um, by trapping them, by just making sure that you have the mechanics to do so. I've just learned that early on during the game, if you get Fairy Godmother out early on, um, then, you know, you can take care of her. I also recommend playing your key. Always, 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 always play your key. I'm going to say that because if someone tries to cover stack here at the music room, you can still play 2 cards. So if you have enough power, playing 2 of there's still a chance to be able to move heroes to Cinderella's room is going to help you keep up with your fading. I also have learned hold on to midnight, because if you get too many heroes stacked up, you need to be able to play midnight. I have learned this, Cortez, is that playing the key is important, even though you are digging for the things that you're looking for, like the bells, the cane, the daughters. It's just, to me, it's important to make sure you keep that space as open as possible. I also recommend, I never go back on your word. It really will help, especially towards the end, knowing what's coming up in your fate deck. So if you have played Midnight and, you have all your glass slippers out, you have everyone here, you can play I never go back to on my word to help play vicious practical jokes to your favor, because you can play Jacques here and get rid of one of these glass slippers to help you. So then if you have everything you need, like if you have a daughter in and the wedding bells played, you could possibly go here, play there's still a chance to activate this, and then activate your wedding bells to win. Personally, I think her mechanics is very well thought out. However, wish that the game 3 was not on the first spot that you go to. Because if you're sitting on the game 3 spot, you're usually going to go here to gain a power fate and try and ruffle through your deck. So I think 1v1, she has a lot of ability to really equally play out against other characters, to fate enough to be able to win. However, I just personally feel that people have gotten so used to her constantly winning and being able to ruffle through her fate deck and fate as much as she does, that it's become competitively, what's the word I'm looking for? No bueno, pretty much. She just, she can get you an instant win if you have the right shuffling. But I just think people are just fading her so much to pull out Fairy Godmother and to move your allies as far away as they can to get rid of your wedding bells with Jacques or make you pay more with Gus Gus. Bruno, I don't understand Bruno, why he's here. But, yeah. No bueno. I always say play who you enjoy playing competitively, but also if you're counter picking, we don't talk about Bruno. Yeah, Bruno can pull Lucifer away. However, if you're playing your items like to the music room, like normally that's where I play my items, is to the music room with Lucifer, you really can't move him much farther to be able to move him back and protect him. I think the artwork is outstanding. I think the components are outstanding. I don't really play Locked Up. I just don't play it very often. Um, one, this is my favorite card because you can just chuck your whole hand and draw back up to what you might need, like the cane or the wedding bells or a sister in a ball gown, um, or a vicious practical jokes if you're lucky. Um, yeah, if fairy godmother's out, but if fairy godmother's trapped, you know, that's why most people, like, I'll go here, I'll play trap to trap fairy godmother, and then I'll just move Lucifer back to wherever my items were. Again, all opinion based. My word is not law. You do you. Um, Personally, I just think she's become a fan favorite that it's more commonly that she's going to be pulled out. So if you're going up against Jafar against Lady Tremaine, good luck because deception is tricky. It's tricky, tricky, tricky. Next up on my 1v1, Doctor. Again, I love playing Doctor. I think if you're playing against friends, he's a really fun to play against with friends. But competitively, if you're going up against Lady Tremaine and Doctor, good luck. Lady Tremaine versus Doctor. I would love to see who wins that one. Probably Doctor. You're not in confident court. Doctor against a 1v1. Personally, I just feel like I have experienced where I feel judged now, guys. I like Doctor playing for fun. I don't like Doctor playing competitively. If you're playing Doctor against Lady Tremaine, like I said, have fun and good luck. I think I always have gotten to the point where I'll have everything I need to win, set up, and everything, and then she will come out or he will come out. He's like the worst. If you have everything set up and Big Daddy comes out, oh, here, have the talisman, and let's just throw this back in the pile so you have to pay for it out again. Um, I think that I have just had too much bad luck with him. I have never been able to use my illusion powder or my cane in a competitive world because people are just too smart. And then as soon as I play up that here you go, here's Juju. Oh, you want to take things out? Sorry. I've also experienced where people will stack here because if you have the cane here, you can do an additional action. Excuse me. Where you can play the talisman and play the cards will tell and just like win in 2 seconds. Tiana has kicked my butt a couple times. Naveen's not bad. Louie's not bad if you have the right hand. I just think personally these three and Mama are my least favorite. Ada, Juju I can handle. I can handle Juju. But if you have Eudora or Big Daddy or Tiana, if Tiana's on the field and Big Daddy comes and takes your Rule New Orleans, you might as well just hand it over and say good day. Scenario wise, if you want to play Doctor, I highly recommend playing him maybe against Evil Queen, possibly against Hades. Somebody who kind of needs to progress quickly, and that'll allow you to just be able to go to the discard spots, find your stuff, and hopefully win. Desperation will definitely pop off with Evil Queen and Hades because you want to be able to pull those mask spirits out. if at all possible, or pull back out your illusion powder. Um, I think mechanics wise, he is a lot of fun. One thing that a lot of people who start off playing Doctor is they don't understand what can go into the fortune pile. The only things that cannot go into the fortune pile are the cards will tell and the talisman. Everything else can go in there. I mean, you can play Rule New Orleans for us in the fortune pile if you want. That saves us on 3 power. I don't recommend doing that. But you do you. I have seen it where people will have Louis sitting over here and they'll have like 3 cards will tell in their hand in Real New Orleans, and then they'll have to play Real New Orleans for the person because these cannot go into the fortune pile, but this can, and it's really helpful. But yeah. Number 18 was Gaston. 17 was Queen of Hearts. 16 was Lady Tremaine, and then 15 is sitting at Doctor. Just because, again, competitively, he just needs some love and attention. You will get faded a lot, especially if you're playing against Jafar or Lady Tremaine. Especially. 15, I believe, is the number I'm on. 14. No, Pete isn't last. You had to know she was coming up on the bottom. I do not like Ursula. I don't like her. I don't like her personally. I don't like her competitively, especially if the other person has her competitively. Gothel has gone. We're getting there. If you are playing against someone playing Ursula, hopefully you're not Prince John because of trickery, but these things, Lord Almighty, these will just blow you into oblivion, especially if she's here and can fate you twice in a row to pull out hopefully something good. Some people don't fate her a lot because of this lovely lady. You won't get fated a lot until you maybe have Triton out on the board to hopefully pull out some Snarf Blats or pull out Sebastian. But competitively, I think Grow Giant is... Personally, this card needed to say, perform one available action in at a location adjacent to Ursula, even if it's locked. However, it cannot perform fate actions. Why doesn't it say that? Why doesn't it say Grow Giant cannot be used to perform fate actions? Why? Someone explain it to me because I don't get it. If you're playing Doctor or Lady Tremaine against Ursula, my soul is with you because I'm so sorry. Again, you're not going to be fated as much. However, if you're playing against someone playing Ursula, you will be. I think mechanically she's a lot of fun as soon as I figure her out. Some of the cards I think I don't like them. I think you have... This is the pointless card. Right here. Pointless card. I don't understand it. This is really good if you're trying to rummage through your deck a little bit. Because you will do a lot of discarding with her. Why won't you just group? Thank you. Arrogance is really nice if you're playing against someone who has to vanquish a lot of heroes. Trickery is nice. Again, you can fate again. Pick the top 5 fate card. I've seen someone play this against my hook and put a taunt on Peter Pan for me. It was lovely. Thank you for whoever did that. Opportunist is really nice because you can pull out an item or effect. So if Divination is played and your crown goes into the discard pile because it's not a contract, you can play Opportunist to pull your crown back, and that way um, Flounder doesn't come out and just ruin your life. One thing I've learned from people who play Ursula is they will stack a lot of their heroes here at Eric's ship, making it literally just the effects and some of the items in there. Excuse me. I have learned, like, I will play Scuttle over here with the Dinglehopper. Maybe, hopefully, to prevent you from being able to change form and lock up the Triton and the Crown. I like to double stack to prevent the activation even with a grown giant, whether it be for the eels or the crown itself. I made a boo-boo last time Cortosis played them, and I didn't move someone over to the cover though. There really isn't any good spot to stack them unless you're gonna move them all the way to the palace and stack them over there. But I just personally like to kill them all. Vanquish all of these lovely heroes. Except the dog. He can stay. He's cute. Well, yeah. That's why she sits as low as she does. Competitively. I think she's a lot of fun as soon as you figure her out. Highly don't recommend playing her if you're a first time player, because she does have a lot of mechanics. Yeah, there's always a different strategy on stacking heroes. Whee! The next one that I have on my list is Prince John. Though I love Prince John to entirely, I recommend, if you're playing him competitively, one thing that I enjoy doing is if you have made Marion out and you have power stacked up on her, so if you have 4 coins on her, I will play a warrant to the jail. I will play, let me find it. These guys are way too expensive. I will play Imprison, and then I will vanquish her, because then the warrant gives me a power for Robin Hood being played there. Another thing is, at the beginning of gaining power, stock up on your allies while you can, like play Nutsy and a couple of wolf archers, play Sir Hiss to Nottingham. I always see that done. Then do not attach the golden arrow to Sir Hiss. It'll be a waste because you won't want to use Sir Hiss to vanquish anyone. I highly recommend putting on maybe your sheriff because he moves so much, or on a wolf archer, or on Nutsy, or something. I don't recommend putting it on Sir Hiss because you won't want to use Sir Hiss to vanquish anything, because it's good to have that fate spot open even though there's a hero here. People have gotten too smart about greed, so this will usually not pop off in a competitive state. Cowardice nowadays is very useful. I will use that to play my sheriff or a rhino guard. I would, with bow and arrows, I put a couple on my sheriff, couple on my wolf archers, just to keep, everything stocked up. But with Prince John, because you have to be able to vanquish heroes, especially heroes like Robin Hood and King Richard, and Little John, I just always feel like it's important to keep your allies stocked up. So for like the first couple turns, I highly recommend stocking your allies up. Put a couple here, put a couple at the jail, just spread out the abundancy of allies. Yeah, good point, we ate. Do not put multiple bow and arrows on your allies because you will lose them both. So if you have two bow and arrows stocked up on, say, this one wolf archer, and you use that wolf archer to kill Robin Hood, they both go away. You don't get to keep one attached; they both go away. So spread the love with the bow and arrows. Give a couple to give one to Sheriff. Give one to the wolf archers. Heck, you can give one to Sir Hiss if you really want to, but I don't know if you're whatever. Um. So my recommendation is to stock up on your allies. Um, get rid of King Richard before you get as soon as you can, because then you're in prison, and things that you can use to prevent your allies from disappearing or vanquishing anything like that, then um, they're no good to you. Robin Hood is my next target. Sometimes you can still win with Robin Hood out, it's not likely, but it's important to just get rid of these two as soon as you can. And I recommend that if you're going to get rid of Maid Marian, imprison her, put a warrant down, and if you can play intimidation before you vanquish, then you can just possibly get rid of Robin Hood at the same time. But on a 1v1 standpoint, if you're playing him competitively, a lot of people will fate you to pull out Robin Hood and stack like all three of these clever disguises on him. Oh, and let's just pull out Island of Dale while we're at it. And you'll just have all your allies stacked in one spot and a whole bunch of power being taken away. And one thing I always recommend is to try and stack those allies in numerous places. Get your sheriff out as much as you can. If you can use cowardice to play rhino guards for free, that's super important too. I just think he's kind of gotten to the point where he's so kind of blah, if that makes any sense. So he's sitting down there. $13? Am I at 13? Sir Hiss is the arrow. Yes. Um. Number 12. I have to think about this. With number 12, it's definitely a toss-up. I had a hard time choosing between three different characters on number 12. So it took me a second to really think about competitively which one I wanted to place further down in the rows. And to my knowledge, for number 12, it has to be Evil Queen. Because as Cortosis showed us in our lovely last YouTube video on how to play, people will fade you even though you are not anywhere near winning. You won't have the magic mirror, you won't have Snow White out. But people will start pulling out dwarves as quick as they can and getting rid of whatever they can with woodland creatures. Sneezy, pickaxes, love's first kiss, everything like that. Happy's a pain in the butt towards the end. Dopey, I like to kill Dopey as soon as I can. He gets on the board. I just feel like it's important to do so. Doc's not bad unless he has like 75 pickaxes on him, and let's throw a wishing well up there and Dopey's out on the board. Bashful is my least favorite out of all of them. When Bashful is usually played, When Bashful is played, I try my best to get rid of him as soon as I can. Especially since he's only 2 strength and before Dopey becomes on the board. I think personally that Evil Queen's card deck, like her villain deck, is very, very, very useful, except for this card. I don't like that card. You have plenty of options to be able to get Ruffle through your deck to find your ingredients. There's 4 different ingredients. There's 2 different types. There's 2 sets of each one. There's even 2 sets for the magic tomes. Her condition cards are usually more than often always going to go off. I always keep an Alfixia in my hand. The Huntsman. Why are you yelling at your phone, Ed? The Huntsman can be useful sometimes. If you're using magic tomes to be able to ruffle through your deck and you get the Huntsman, the Throne, and an Alfixia and a Thunderbolt, I usually more than likely will toss him. I will more likely play the Throne because it really is useful to be able to get poison very quickly. Thunderbolt I will more than likely take to be able to gain power quickly. Black magic is really nice, especially if someone discards your magic mirror with Sneezy. But like I said, competitively, if a lot of people will try and keep all of the dwarves on the board as much as they can. That way, when Snow White is able to be out, she's just super buff. That's when the Huntsman's very kind of useful. But I have learned with her... Yeah, I know, he loves Evil Queen. I've learned with her that it's very in your favor to try and get rid of dwarves as much as you can. But if there's a forced Happy on the board, I wouldn't kill Happy until like the very end of the game. Or Sneezy. If it's a forced Happy and Sneezy and your magic mirror hasn't come out yet, I would just stack them over here at the laboratory. That's usually where I stack my heroes, is at the laboratory. Some people stack them at the woods. That's their choice. I just personally like the laboratory because I like to keep my activates as open as possible. That way I don't have to use or waste a card for an Alfixia. I think her mechanics is very nice. I really like to play her in with my friends or just like alone if I'm doing solo plays or trying to rummage through a better strategy. She's a lot of fun. She's one of my top tiers, even personally. However, with this video, because it is 1v1, I just personally think that keeping her on the lower stack is better. But she is sitting at number 12, which is a little higher because of the fact she can rummage through her deck very quickly, especially with the magic tomes and the black magic. You can pull your ingredients or your items out very quickly. Vanity is really nice to rummage through your deck as well. I think she's a very speedy character. I'm not saying that she's bad in any way. Again, this is just an opinion for 1v1 or competitively. My COVID brain is real, guys. Let me know if I'm talking too quiet. I really can't talk very loud today. The next one on my list, number 11. Thanks, Court. Number 11 is Horn King. I have gotten to enjoy Horn King a little more. That's why he's a little higher than he was ranked before. He is very quickly to progress, especially if you keep your discard spaces open as much as possible. He can fate very heavily and still progress. One thing I've learned is that the witches are really nice, especially when you're at the point where you're starting to put those cauldron boards out. I Believe in You can be either a useful card or a bad card. So if you play I Believe in You and they have what they need to win and they discard and draw 3 cards into their hand, this can either save your butt towards the end or they don't have anything useful and you just handed them something useful at the end. That has bitten me in the butt a few times. So card counting with him is important. Keeping in mind what's in there is important. But I have honestly come to enjoy him. You can gain power very quickly. I dropped a card. There's ways to get your black cauldron quickly. One thing I always recommend is the same thing that Court recommended when we did a deep dive into him back on YouTube, is to keep your ends open. If you don't keep your ends open, you sometimes get stuck. One other thing I recommend is to always keep your gain 3 open. This is fine if it's covered by a hero. It's not as bad. You can still gain some power and fate. Play your allies while you can. Excuse me. Captured is nice. You can start to draw into your Cauldronborn. There are 5 Cauldronborns and 5 Ancient Soldiers. This is to hopefully help you with I Believe in You. So if you've discarded so many, you still have enough to be able to play them out, activate, and switch things around. Ancient Soldiers do have to be played before Cauldronborn, and you have to have claimed the Black Cauldron. You can start playing Ancient Soldiers before you claim the Black Cauldron. You'll just have to play Show Me the Black Cauldron, or you have to vanquish Henwin to hopefully claim and activate it. One thing that I've seen people run into is Gurgi's Happy Day. Now, Gurgi's Happy Day sometimes has pulled into Gurgi's Sacrifice and Fleur de Flamme, and you have to play them both. So I'll see people squatting Fleur over here, or they'll plop them over here and move all your Cauldronborn over yonder. I always say try and keep the move active, the top move covered with heroes, hopefully to prevent from just going here and moving Cauldronborns around every other turn. Gurgi's Sacrifice makes you flip it back over to the Black Cauldron and start discarding some of your Cauldronborn, which is no bueno. We don't want that. So 1v1 wise, I think he's not only good competitively, he can keep up, he can still progress even if you cover his gain 3 spot. But if you cover that gain 3 spot, be prepared for him to just bounce between these 2 spots to gain power and fate you. If you want to know more about him, again, !YouTube. We'll go to my YouTube channel and there's a deep dive for him. I'm hopefully going to try and get more deep dives out there with all of the characters, but bear with me. I'll have plenty of time this week to do so. So that's number 11. Number 10, again, was a toss-up between characters. However, it's a character that I've grown to appreciate a little more. This character was lower on the brackets when I first did my 2021 ranking, and that will be Pete. I've learned that Pete competitively can move very, very quickly. His fate deck isn't as bad now that I know what's going on with it. So he's sitting at number 10. I've learned that his fate deck and his villain deck have gotten to be accustomed to me. I've learned to adapt even with this being covered or this being covered, which are the primary spots that people like to cover when they fate you. You can still really progress in winning. However, I think in the competitive world, everyone has played Pete at least once and they know what you're about to do before you do it. One thing I'm really trying to learn with Pete is how to deceive your players into thinking this is what your goal is, but really it's not. Cortosis does that with me a lot. Another thing I recommend, I have done this before where I will have, say I'm trying to rule the realm, and I have Cricket out to hopefully help me rule the realm. I don't know why I chose all bandits, but I did. If you get Mini, most people, when Mini is played, discard a bandit. I have learned to discard Cricket instead, because Cricket is really useful, especially if they're trying to rule the realm. It can also help you with Roundup, because you can use Cricket for that additional strength to hopefully get you to that 10. There are just so many ways. I've seen people get really lucky and get win big over at Podunk, so you get to just play Sneaky Pete and then play a game, and then you'll just get that right off the bat. The most ideal spots for me, again, this is all opinion based, is Power Play over at Podunk. I like Win Big at the airport, Strike It Rich at the service station. No, I like Strike It Rich at Frontier and Roundup at the service station. And then this Rule the Realm really doesn't matter where it's at because it's not location based. But for the location based ones, these are where I prefer to have them. Power Play, because you can play 2 cards and automatically get to your 6. Win Big, I like it here because then it's not getting covered with heroes, like your player card isn't getting covered. So if you have Win Big here or Power Play here and people stack allies there, you're kind of screwed unless you keep vanquishing them. And I like Strike It Rich here because if you can get Steamboat Willie all the way here, you can just start moving your airports or your Jalopy around. Again, I really think that he competitively can really keep up fading wise. He can really progress, and if you get the right placement, you can just zoom through your goals and whatnot. So number 10, and going to number 9 is Cruella. Cruella, mechanic wise, I think some of her cards are kind of pointless, especially if you already have like your allies out, your flashlights out. I have seen the Roadster be played and just taken away before even getting to use it. Whatever it takes has really grown on me to be able to not only fate but possibly discard if you have heroes here at the milk farm. The Devil Take It has been really nice to be able to pull effects out to move heroes around. I always use the telephone as soon as I play it, or I try to, especially with Jasper because he is a 3 cost, so why not play the telephone, activate telephone to play Jasper for free. Live for Furs will really help you gain some power because she is kind of power starved, believe it or not. She can gain a lot of power very quickly, but then she can lose it just as quickly. One thing I have learned with her is, personally, I enjoy playing Jasper to the milk farm and Horace to Radcliffe House, or you can play Jasper to the Hell Hall. This is usually where I play them, is Radcliffe and Hell Hall, just because even if you put like a 4 strength hero here, you can just put a Fireplace Poker onto Jasper. Another thing I will do is I'll just go ahead and play out both of my telephones if I can or if I want to that day. If I'm feeling frisky, I'll play them both. Um, then I will always put at least a poker on both of these guys, hopefully to help me out. Devilish has been useful. That again, sometimes I just discard. With Cruella, you're going to do a lot of discarding and a lot of activating. So personally, I just kind of bounce between these two spots until I feel like my opponent is further into fate, dungeon, purgatory, whatever. And then I can start gaining power, activating most of the time, playing, get the job done, and I'll just slowly start progressing. Now, sometimes you want to get puppies out as fast as you can. Pongo, I always recommend if Pongo or Perdita are played, move them to the milk farm with that devil woman. Try not to vanquish them if you can prevent it, but if you can't, vanquish them and then capture puppies as soon as you can. If your opponent is fading you a lot and both of your Flew the Coops have gone by and Perdita, capture puppies quickly. Capture them as fast as you can. It'll really help you get to that win crowd faster. Spotted is really nice to be played before you activate Horus or a flashlight. That way you can get those 22s out. And Roadster is a really nice item. I think that being able to move that around, get puppies away from Pongo is really helpful. So personally, mechanically wise, I think she's very well thought out. I think that her graphics are really nice, and competitively, I think she can really keep up with the speedy characters such as Lady Tremaine, Evil Queen, and even Pete. So she's sitting up there a little further. And if you think about it, most of the Perfectly Wretched box was sitting very, very, very low. So next on my list is definitely Scar. I've gotten to really enjoy Scar. One thing that I always say is even though you're in single digits and haven't seen gospel yet. Even though be prepared, you take the chance of getting rid of your injustice cards. Take the chance. You need to pull allies out as fast as you can and as quickly as you can to be able to be prepared. So for Hungry Hyenas, these are very, very helpful, especially if you have Shenzi, Bonsai, and Ed out. Sorry, I'm just kind of organizing. I don't want to draw them. So with Hungry Hyenas. Wow, COVID brings real, guys. You have 6 of these guys, and you get a strength for each other hyena at their location. So if you have the ability to vanquish Mufasa with just one Hungry Hyena, take that ability. Long Live the King is really helpful to start rummaging through your fate deck a little, getting rid of the stick, any prophecies, and even Rafiki and Simba. Simba's not bad. If you have him on the board, he's easy to move around. But for me, I really like to Long Live the King to hopefully pull out those prophecies, the sticks, and a couple of these Kuna Matatas, if at all possible. The ideal pull for the first one is Rafiki stick, Sarabi, and a prophecy. And then if you do it again, I would say Simba, prophecy, Zazu. And that's just my personal opinion. Everyone has their own. But you get to pull four cards out with each. Long Live the King. But yeah, I think mechanic-wise, he's a lot of fun. I haven't really won with him yet, but personally, I've starting to work with him a little more. Planting, like making sure I'm stocking up with my stampedes here, or even my hyenas, because a lot of people like to play to cover up these 2 spots. They covered this one hopefully to prevent a long live the king into an instant vanquish of Mufasa or anything along those lines, moving allies around, anything like that. So he's sitting up there as well. A lot of fun, a lot of fun, a lot of fun. He can still fate really well. Um, hmm. 7. Sitting at number 7 is Gothel. I've learned to appreciate Gothel a little more. Personally, you kind of have to be able to maneuver and not gain trust really quickly with her, is what I've learned. I really like to use the royal guards to move heroes around. Sometimes I'll use them to move Pascal as far away from the tower as I can. Just take advantage of your allies. This is another character that I've learned. Stocking up on your allies very quickly is important. Putting as many out there as you can. Sometimes keeping the Stabbingtons within decent distance of each other is important. Popping out royal guards, royal riders, anything along those lines. Stack up your board with allies very quickly. That way you can revenge at any point in your time. You can vanquish at any point in your time. Just, I've learned with her, she's a lot like Prince John. You have to be able to keep your allies well stocked. Even with aging, that way it doesn't prevent you from being able to not vanquish and keep your board as cleared as you can. Again, Rapunzel does stay on the board. Personally, that's annoying, but whatever. And I think personally she's gotten a lot better with me because I understand her more. I understand that I have to stock up on my allies. I understand that I can move things around. Mother knows best doesn't hurt me. Personally, I think that this top fate action before you vanquish is a good spot. And not only that, but she can really speed up very quickly if she can move past the 5 trust. But I think she has a lot of thinking, so you can really take your time with her and try and look at your hand and be like, okay, I can go here, I can put this knife on one of these guys, I can vanquish, I can then play this. I can go here, I can play the hairbrush, I can play misdirection, I can move her, move the hairbrush to keep up with her. There are so many things that you have to think ahead. One thing with her is I really, really recommend focusing on what's going on with yours more than focusing on what's going on with your opponent. Yes, your opponent can speed past you, but at the same time, keep an eye. Try and multitask. Think about what they have going on, okay? If you're playing Evil Queen, she has no poison. She doesn't even have Snow White out. I'm going to start gaining power very quickly. I'm going to use the crown to gain power. Just keeping ahead and just focusing on yourself is the best thing I can recommend with Waffle. Stock up on your allies, be prepared, anything like that. You never know what could possibly come out of your fate deck. Competitively, I think she's really good. She can progress quickly. She can fate and still progress quickly. Personally, I think she's grown on me a little more. I'm not perfect with her. I haven't really learned her the best, but she's starting to grow on me for sure. So she's sitting up there. I have 6 left. So number 6 is Ratigan. I've grown to enjoy Ratigan and be able to be prepared if my gears get dismissed, my tools get dismissed. I use ruffians a lot to move my robot queen for me. Just move her along. One thing I've also learned with Ratigan is I always try and hold on to at least one of my devious cards until the end. Another thing that I like to do is if I have, most people put your really bulk strength allies here or heroes here. I'll go ahead and vanquish heroes. One thing I wasn't doing is I wasn't vanquishing enough and I wasn't progressing enough in my own goal because I wasn't vanquishing and I was leaving everything covered. So play those marvelous traps, play the uniforms, be prepared for anything that could possibly come out. One thing I also do with Ratigan is I'll play uniforms on people and I'll put marvelous traps out just to prepare for any reason that I need to get rid of heroes very quickly. I've captured a lot. I will put Fidget down here. Like, Fidget doesn't have to be played to the toy shop. The only person that needs to be played to the toy shop when Fidget is out is the toy maker himself. Blush. Sometimes I'll even play out a Felicia before I get the bell. Just to hopefully prepare for anything that could possibly come up. I try and keep Big Ben as cleared as possible because I really want that move and I really want that game too. Some people were discarding the Robot Queen. I just have learned just to hold on to her. I really don't use the airship much anymore because I can just use the ruffians to move things for me. Sometimes if I have the airship out, I'll play a ruffian over here to activate for me. Greatest Criminal Minds, I've been using that to gain power, or if I haven't seen any sign of the Robot Queen or any gears, then I'll use it to draw cards, but it's not likely. I'll usually play that card where I can also discard at the same time, which is usually Buckingham Palace and the toy shop, one of the 2 main places that people cover. I'll also move my gears around to hopefully prevent any sabotaging from coming up. But he mechanically is very nice. I like when we get to the point where Ratigan has to defeat Basil because then you can win very quickly. You can progress quickly. You can fade enough. And that's why I try and keep a Marvelous Trap over at Buckingham Palace or enough allies to vanquish things. Just because it can get very crowded over here at the palace. So Ratigan sits at number 6 just because the mechanics is really nice. I like the card work. I like the fact that he can progress in a competitive way and he can still keep up with overfading. Number 5 is Maleficent. She's another one I've also grown to really appreciate. One thing I wasn't doing with her was vanquishing very much. If you don't know me, my problem before was I wasn't killing things that could stop me. I've all learned that if you kill the things that could stop you, the likelihood of them being pulled out again is probably slimmer than pulling out a couple of the swords or a couple of the guards or whatever. I like to keep these 2 spots open, Briar Rose Cottage and Forbidden Mountains, because you can move things around how you wish. Another thing I recommend with her, if you get the Raven, go ahead and play him. You may not have him long, but play him if you can. And then as soon as you get a green fire, plop that green fire with him. Protect him as much as you can. Hopefully, you can just keep kind of moving it around to protect him as much as you possibly can. King Stephen can be a pain. Prince Philip can be a pain. Merryweather, I think Flora is possibly my worst favorite because you just have an open hand and everyone can see what's going on. With Maleficent in a competitive way, I think she can progress very, very quickly. You can either take I'm going to speed through my deck and find my curses and play them, and here you go, I win. Or you can fake quickly and progress and win. So there's so many things you could possibly do with her. I think the strategies that I've seen people go through with her is amazing. Play the allies, vanquish things. Just keep up with vanquishing. That's the best thing I can say with her. Keep in mind what could possibly come out of her fate deck and what could possibly not come out of her fate deck. If that makes sense. Right. And then sitting up next is Hades. I like Hades' mechanics. I like the way that he works. His fate deck has become nice for me. Less brutal. My mouse isn't moving. Why is it moving? Oh, there's sounds. What was I saying? So everyone usually puts Zeus over here. A lot of times I will use Zeus to my advantage when it comes to trapping my Titans. Another thing that I might do is if someone vanquished something, I'll play Rage. And one of the Titans you won't really see me move is Hydros, because if you read his abilities, heroes cannot be moved with fate cards. So if people try and move Zeus back to where he belongs, he can't be moved because of Hydros' ability. So a lot of times I will put Hydros here, hopefully to prevent having to move him across and whatnot, to use him for my ability. Sometimes the cards are nice. Like I said, stack up on those allies, vanquish things. I've learned that keeping the Underworld covered and Mount Olympus covered is kind of detrimental to your goal because you can't play cards and do what you need to do at the same time. Go the distance, yes. But if it's more of like, okay, my mouse isn't working. It's more of like if someone tries to do Hermes to move Zeus back to where he was, they can't do that. Now, go the distance, yes. It does ignore all Titan abilities and hero abilities. So no one can move. So if Zeus was here, no one could move Lythos here with go the distance and trap him. Or you can move Zeus back to Mount Olympus using go the distance instead of Hermes. We will not talk about Phil. I think he's a pointless card. I've learned to adapt to Lightning Bolt. Always keep a couple copies of Planets Align in your hand, especially if you're close to WinCon. So then you can just keep untrapping things, or you can keep a couple of the Get Ready to Rumbles. I always forget about my chariot. I will have the chariot. I'll think about what I'm supposed to do with the chariot, and then I won't use it. Because Bam with Gaston can be pulled off with the chariot, especially if you're going here, moving some Titans, gaining a power, then you play a card, and then you want to move the chariot again to move the Titan. That's four or more actions, and he gets to pretty much win. I've learned to really enjoy this character. And he's a lot of fun even if you're not playing him in a competitive world. He can fade enough and still progress in his goals. And I think he's just a lot of fun to play even if you're not playing him competitively. Sitting at number 3 is Jafar. Yep, number 3 is Jafar. I like Jafar. A lot of times you won't get faded a lot because you don't want to pull out Abu or Aladdin very quickly. Sorry, my school is. I think you can gain power quickly also. Another thing is you can still discard in Fate to keep up. He is really good with any character you play against because even if you're playing like Lady Tremaine, Deception is really helpful to hopefully pull out Fairy Godmother. Now, I have seen in my personal game and in Weira's game against a Lady Tremaine player who played played a card to rearrange her Fate deck as Lady Tremaine. Excuse me, my computer's deciding today she wants to make a lot of noise. And then they played Deception. Now, they would put Fairy Godmother and the Prince on top and not think about the order. And then I would play Deception and pull Fairy Godmother out. And then that just reshuffles her whole deck about what could possibly come out. And then I would play Deception again because she had all her items out and play a Sweet Nightingale. I think that Jafar is really good in speed running to pull out his Scarab Pendant. And I think in general, all his cards are useful to him. He can gain power quickly. He can progress quickly. He can fate enough to be able to competitively keep up with his opponents. I just personally think that his fate deck can keep up with what he's doing. I just personally really have been enjoying him a lot lately. And he's just a lot of fun to me in a competitive league. He can progress, like I said, very quickly. And overall, he's just a lot of fun. So, he's sitting at number 3. Again, opinion based. If you don't like him competitively, you can put him somewhere else. At number 2 is Captain Hook. Now, Captain Hook is scenario based. Sometimes he will be lower for me, sometimes he will be higher for me. If you think about my last video, he was sitting a lot lower. Now, he's sitting a lot higher. It's just, he's been a lot of fun for me. Being able to work my deck to my advantage, playing out my allies to different locations. People have been not afraid to fate Captain Hook. It depends who you're playing, but some people are not afraid. I personally, if I pull out Pan for you, then so be it. Sorry, but I can't take the risk of not fading you to the point where I'm now stuck and just handed you the game. One thing I recommend if you're playing Captain Hook is spread out your allies. Put a couple of pirate boots down. We're at 2. Use your map to your advantage, especially if you have no power. I just always recommend spreading out your allies, give them a scare, especially if you're close to killing Peter. One thing I've really seen is people playing Cunning to play Starkey to move Pan. That has been really, really cool. So always, if you've noticed with everything that I've been saying, for any of these characters, spreading your allies out is going to be their best bet to hopefully prevent taunts from affecting you. One thing to keep in mind is that Tinkerbell's been changed from a May. So even if you were the opponent to play Tinkerbell, play them somewhere that really won't matter, because she has been changed from May to now you have to discard an ally. Apparently I'm throwing cards. Before, with Captain Hook, I really didn't like doing math, trying to keep up with everything. But now, competitively, I think he can speed up very quickly. He can progress quickly. He can discard enough to where he can get his map. And he can play enough cards, even without the Deverman Hangman's Tree unlocked. And personally, he's become a favorite of mine. And we all knew who was sitting at number 1. My one and only, my forever, my love, my Yzma. Yzma will stress me out sometimes. People reset my fate deck like 5 billion times. But I've learned keeping superiorities in your hand as much as you can, not relying on ferocities, and vanquishing when you can is super important. She will always be my favorite. She, right now, has given me a lot of wins, even competitively or 1v1 or just playing in a group of friends. She has been a lot of fun to me. Personally, if you want to learn, like I said, Yzma's been a lot of fun to pick up and learn. Her mechanics are different. I like the fact that she has separate fate decks. I like the fact that she's just different in general. She can progress very quickly. If you watch a video with Cortosis and I with our draft, I was able to fate him enough and still progress. Shocking. It was scary how much I progressed in that video and still ended up with a W. She's just a lot of fun. I think her cards are fun, her mechanics are fun, and in general, she's just a lot of fun. So, yeah. Again, all of this is opinion based. It's not you have to listen to what I have to say. But for the most part, those are my ranks for the first 18 villains. I'm hoping to stream later tonight for anybody that wants to play. I want to say happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Make sure you treat your significant others with a lot of love. Show them you care today. And remember that we all are one. If you have any questions or if you just want to play some games later, just send a shout out. And this will be up on YouTube later on in the day. I'm going to go get some water and take my medication, and I will be back on later, hopefully with some Kingdom Hearts stuff. So, have a good night.